conversation, on the legal framings, of the judgment from last week, Wednesday. I'm going to have another lawyer on the show today to also give us his thoughts and legal explanations, because quite a number of us are not lawyers, and so we might see things differently, maybe from a layman's point of view, that are not exactly how they ought to be. Well, but before we go into all of that discussion, let's first of all look at some of the big stories that made the rounds in the course of the last 7 days. Great news for Lagosians. Last week, finally, after 20 years, finally, the Lagos Blue Rail Line officially began operations with Governor Sanwo-Olu as its first passenger. Now, trust me, that is a massive deal. Yes, it is a massive deal. And I've seen pictures and videos from last week of Lagosians making use of the rail, to get through to their destinations. And I think it's an amazing experience. I hope to join, the number of Lagosians who are using that, hopefully very, very soon. And I cannot wait for it to extend all the way to Okokomaiko, so that those of us who have things to do over that way will not be thinking too much about traffic or bad roads or the bad Lagos-Badagry Expressway. We can easily hop on the train from Marina and straight up, we're getting all the way to Okoko. Brilliant. Congratulations to the Lagos state government. Even though it took 20 years, well, those two truths can actually exist. Should have possibly taken a lot shorter. We're hoping that the red line, which I think is going to be more important, I actually think is more important, because it will cut through, all the way down to the Alagbado axis, all the way down to, of course, Marina. And I think that we have a lot more population on that axis and a lot more routes. Looking forward to that one. Also, last week, the NLC had 2 days warning strike over subsidy removal. If you ask me, I honestly don't know what exactly the NLC did with that. But hey, they did. And the police shot tear gas at protesting UNILAG students last week who are protesting increase in school fees. The Lagos State House of Assembly also confirmed 15 out of the 18 persons in the second batch of commissioner nominees sent by the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And of course, the issue we're going to talk about today dominated the news last week. All 5 judges of the Presidential Tribunal unanimously upheld the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The tribunal also asserted that electronic results transmission is not mandatory. Yes, another conversation we're also going to have today. Also the same last week, the opposition, Peter Obi of the Labour Party and Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, rejected the result of the tribunal and said they were heading to the final court, the apex court, that is the Supreme Court. And of course, the INEC in election matters reopened PVC collection for voters in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa, who would have governorship elections in about a month's time. And the federal government increased the price of electricity meters by 40%. Those are some of the big stories from last week. Without much ado, let's get into the thick of the action, because of course the tribunal judgment has gotten a lot of persons talking. And at the moment, I told you that we will have a lawyer join us on the show. Well, joining us to actually discuss this further is the former vice president of the Nigeria Bar Association. He's also the former chairman of the section of public interest and development law of the Nigerian Bar Association, and currently the chairman of the Electoral Reform Commission at the African Bar Association. A very good evening to you, Mr. Monday Obani. Welcome to the newsroom. Hello. Okay, it looks like we're still the connection has not finally gotten through. While my producer Emmanuel Onwoka is trying to ensure that connection works again. I don't know why he's chuckling here. Are you not my producer? I'm calling you out. Okay, while we're still trying to connect to our guest on the show, let me let you know that, of course, that midweek ruling from the tribunal is not something that has gone down well with a lot of persons. However, for a lot of legal practitioners, they sort of agreed with most parts of the judgment given by the tribunal. Because, again, when issues come up in the court of law, it's not about emotions. It's not about what we think. It's not about how we think it should go. It's not about where we think the judgment should go. It's strictly about what facts are presented before the court, how admissible those facts are, how great those facts or evidences are, and of course, how the judges will interpret, the facts and the evidences that have been brought before them. One way or the other, the justices really didn't find funny some of the issues brought before them. For instance, one of the justices, Bolaji Yusuf, she did not hold back when she picked a lot of holes, in the cases brought to her or brought to the court by the petitioners. Now, she famously told them, and I quote, "They did not even bother to place such credible evidence before this court. Were they expecting the court to go and gather evidence from the street or the market, or to be persuaded or intimidated by threats on social media? That is not the way of the court." Now, that is Justice Bolaji Yusuf. I'm quoting her and, of course, quoting what she said in that judgment from Wednesday. But the other side of the equation will be, well, we saw evidences, didn't we? We saw heaps of them. It's one thing to bring evidence to court, as it appears. It's another thing to admit those evidences. Then it's further another thing for those evidences to actually be able to prove your case. And the justices told the petitioners last week, Wednesday, that the evidence brought before them were not good enough. That's what we saw. It's looking like we are struggling, sadly. I don't know why these things happen. It's looking like we're struggling to get hold of our guest on the show today. But while we're still trying to do that, let me just take you again back to some of the comments from the justices. Justice Ugo, one of the judges on the issue, also dismissed the assertion of the petitioners that the Independent National Electoral Commission simply closed down or blocked its result viewing portal to enable it manipulate the election results in favor of the second respondent, that is President Bola Tinubu, because that was one of the accusations or allegations leveled against INEC, by the petitioners, that they did it deliberately to favor one party. Justice Hugo queried whether such an allegation contained in the petitions was even worthy of belief. He says the two sets of petitioners did not by any means discharge the burden on them of proving that the results of the presidential election of 25th February 2023 was as declared by the first respondent was incorrect. At any rate, why did any of the two sets of petitioners not tender even a single polling unit result issued by INEC to their polling unit agents to support their claim of manipulation of election results by INEC, even as they all agreed that they have agents in the polling units? Now, it's actually one of the questions I hoped to, ask my guests. Sadly, it's looking like we are unable to connect to Dr. Monday Ubani for him to actually help us make sense of all of these questions, because I know even the persons who listened to his colleague Liberos Oshoma earlier in the day when he spoke with my colleague Joyce, still had quite a number of questions, but Liberos did a great job in explaining or in trying to separate facts from emotions, because there are two different things altogether. And again, I would ask that same question. How on earth do you have the thousands of agents in these different polling units and you say there was manipulation? You say there are allegations of corruption. Now, whether that is true or not is another matter entirely. It can be true, but might not be legal. At least if I'm judging my my explanations from the judgment. I was the one, I remember on the 25th of February, I was right here in the Nigeria Info Newsroom from 7 a.m. In fact, up until I think 1 a.m. the next morning or thereabout. I was monitoring everything. My colleagues who were out on the field were feeding myself and the newsroom with a lot of information. My colleagues who were in the respective states across the Federation were also feeding me with a lot of information. And some Lagosians were also calling into our lines, to talk about this. And if I'm judging from the feedback I got, maybe there were actually cases of alleged malpractice. But the question is, like the judges asked, how come the petitioners did not come to court with any of those agents to testify? Well, this is my cue to let you know that finally I've gotten my guest on the line. Mr. Monday Ubani, or rather, Dr. Monday Ubani, I beg your pardon. Welcome to the newsroom. Good evening to you.
Doesn't matter how you address me.
It matters though. before you call me after the show.
No, I will not.
Just joking.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening and welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. And you?
Well, my mouth was already running dry. I was trying to do all of the legal talk that I don't have that much experience.
I can see that you were almost half-educated lawyer, because most of the things you are saying were sounding very legal. Yeah, legal. You've interacted with lawyers so much that
my brother,
we may consider you to go and do a two years a crash program, and then we confirm you as LLB.
Maybe I should take that advice. Maybe
I'm just telling you now, just 2 years in a crash program, and then we confirm you LLB.
Abi, and very soon I'll become senior advocate.
That is the point. That is the point.
Okay, let's get into the thick of the action.
Yes.
First things first, I would like to get your general overview of the judgment from the tribunal last week Wednesday.
I listened to the judgment just for those 12 hours too. I sat down throughout the whole day listening, and then there were some of the views that the court held that I found okay, and in accordance with some of the things I know about the electoral dispute. There are some of the ones that I also found that, look, we may not end it here. we may need to test this jurisprudence, at the apex court, and that is the Supreme Court. Because there are certain things with this electoral issue, anything that has to do with electoral dispute, is sui generis. It's a special brand of, suit that it has its own technicalities, and then those technicalities over time to have been made pronouncement by the court. But the only problem with electoral issues is due to the political nature of some of the cases, of election. Sometimes precedents are upon just at will. If there is no consistency, just like we have established consistency in contract, in constitutional matters, criminal matters. But when it comes to election disputes in Nigeria, a decision can be taken in the morning by, Supreme Court giving some facts, and very relevant and similar, and then establish a principle. The following evening, another one comes again. They have similar facts and others. So you cannot, with all certainty, say, "Oh, I'm very, very sure." There are so many pronouncements, that have been made that are not too consistent with previous decisions that have been reached by the court, especially by the Court of Appeal. So many of them like that. So what we do is that every matter still have to go to the Supreme Court, where jurisprudence are finally settled. You can now say, with some level of certainty, okay, this is what the Supreme Court has said based upon these particular facts. Now, on issue of subpoenaed witnesses, the court said, look, those witnesses were supposed to be front-loaded. But I know, and then they read the party's direction that say all written statement of witnesses ought to be front-loaded, alongside with the petition. When you are filing petition, you must also put statement on oath of those witnesses you are going to use. But we have also seen where the court have held that you may not do that because of the fact that at the time you are filing your petition, you may not be aware, these witnesses that are subpoenaed ought to be, witnesses of the court because they are subpoenaed. They are not willing witness. They are, maybe most times your adversary. Maybe you bring a petition before a tribunal. Though, if you are bringing INEC official, INEC is an adversary because INEC will want to defend the result that they have pronounced or the announcement they have made. So they are adversaries. So you must be able to get the documents that INEC will give to you to inspect. Is after inspection you can now see one of all those anomalies that you now want to bring any of those subpoenaed witnesses to come and corroborate, or you make them look as a liar. So at that time you can now prepare their statement and then front load. Now that would have probably taken place after the 21 days you have within which to file your petition. But the court was of the opinion, from beginning, you must front load even the subpoenaed witnesses you have not known. Even the subpoenaed witnesses you have not even examined the document that will give you room to even invite them. That is the decision of that court that I found a bit not too satisfactory. So the Supreme Court will have to make a pronouncement. If the Supreme Court said, now, you must do that, then we now know that nobody can ever prove any election petition case. So if we leave it at this, that is the precedent with regards to witnesses that are subpoenaed witnesses. It then means that nobody should forget, every person should forget about going to court to prove any election issue whenever announcement is made by INEC declaring certain persons as winners and all that. That is with regards to that. Then the second issue has to do with IREF. If you remember vividly, that we all clapped and danced and sang and praised God that the Electoral Act itself has finally been amended in order to digitize our electoral process. And one of those innovative provisions was the issue of use of beavers and IREF. These are the two key issues. All of us were saying that it's not going to be business as usual. And then INEC themselves, we are very, very excited, going all over the world, promising that, look, we're going to use beavers for accreditation. We will also transmit real time, from the polling unit to our server. That was one of the key things that actually rekindled the interest and excitement of Nigerians. Some came from abroad, everyone. And, everyone was excited about 2023. And look, we can watch these things, from IREF. As these results are trickling, we are watching as the results are coming from polling unit. So if there's any manipulation anywhere again, you cannot, because already in the system. That transparency and credibility is one of the things that all of us were very happy about the innovative provision of our Electoral Act. So all of a sudden, we now hear that INEC was given the authority was given the authority to enact the guideline that will guide the process. And that's why INEC give you the time, the election will commence, the time the election will end. Are you following me?
Yes.
And so all those guidelines are, measures that are given to them in order to ensure that the process is credible. Right? So having said that, the Electoral Act gave INEC that power. The Constitution also gave INEC the power to enact guideline, and they did enact guideline and said there is a provision for electronic transmission of results.
In the guideline? In the guideline,
sir. In the guideline. Now, not only did they provide guideline, they also made promises. In fact, our own INEC chairman had to go to Chatham House in order to, tell the whole world how the election of 2023 will go. Then Okoye, if you watch him most times and all that, even when there was doubt whether they will use this system of transmission, they were very, very vehement.
He said that a lot of times on Nigeria Info.
Beautiful. They really said, look, we are going to do it. We are very, very honorable. We have integrity. And to really, underscore the importance of this, we know the amount of money that was actually given to INEC to conduct this election, and the excitement with 99 million, prospective registered voters according to them, So we were ready to have, so at least for the first time, it's a transparent, electoral system that everyone can say, look, we are coming of age. All of us were excited. All of a sudden, the same election took place, Federal House of Reps. Election took place Senate the same day, and presidential. You were able to upload the one of Senate. You were able to upload that of House of Reps. When it came to the presidency, you're not saying there was glitch. Oh, there was an attempt to hack. Why this hacking? No touch Senate, no touch House of Reps. Now during presidency, we are hearing about attempt to hack and all that, and then glitch. What glitch? So even if you want to uphold the validity of the outcome by INEC, one would have expected a court that is proactive, that knew what actually happened for this Electoral Act to be amended, and the excitement when that amendment was done, introducing these innovations, to really say, look, INEC, this lame excuse that the glitch and all that couldn't have been the purpose for all the money we spend and the excitement, of electoral process that is a bit credible, and you're not telling us that, the INEC provided for manual.
But Dr. Bani,
yes,
but
manual.
Dr. Bani,
Yes, let me just land.
Okay.
Manual that we know that was the reason for even amendment in the first place. We know what happens with manual electoral system, where there is so much manipulation, killing, ballot snatching, and so much, things that are very, very, very corrupt in the system. When we were using manual, that made the CSOs, the civil society group, everyone to come together and say, let's amend the act, and we did, and there was so much happiness and joy that we're getting somewhere. You're not telling us we are going back to manual. Meaning in 2027, these guys can do anything and say go to court because they will manipulate the system. They will, you will see blood results in the system. Oh no. I felt that the court would have at least, made some scouting remark, some reprimanding INEC and said, no, you are taking us back. From now onwards, let's, stick to what we have, put in our guideline and all that. So to me, we have really taken one step forward and then several backwards, with this particular decision with regards to issue of electronic transmission, because the court now have, in that judgment, approved manual way of collation, which again is what we are trying to avoid by the electoral amendment. Yes, we are trying to ask something.
Yes, I was trying to ask something.
Yes.
Someone might actually, puncture a few of your thoughts now and say, you're probably talking from the ideal situation and how you want things to work. But as a lawyer, as someone who goes through this legal profession, we know that in the court of law, emotions really take a bit of the back seat. It's the facts on ground. And the facts on ground is that in the Electoral Act, INEC is given the power to transmit the results however they deem fit, whether it is electronic or manual. Yes, you and I know that the major issue in Nigeria's election is not when people go out to vote in polling units. The major problem has always been in the collation of results, that allegedly a lot of magomago and GPT happens within that coalition before the results are put out. We all know this. Again, let me use the word allegedly. And that's why the way to actually change it was to have this thing electronically transmitted, because if you're seeing it in white and black on the screens, nobody can change anything. But there was a loophole in the act that the justices exploited and said, hey, this thing is not mandatory. There's no way it is there's nowhere it is written in black and white. Would you have issues with them if they're looking at it on face value, going by the letter of the law?
My sister, this is a court of first instance. This is a court of first instance.
Okay.
So just like, even though they are called courts, they are the court of appeal when they handle presidential.
Yes.
This is like a tribunal now looking at all these facts. Now, there is going to be an appeal in which the court will be
the Supreme Court
appointed. Yeah, the Supreme Court will be asked to look at the Electoral Act, what the 65 provided, what the guideline is provided, whether it is right that what INEC did, resorting to manual, is something that the Supreme Court says, there was an omission. Then we now know that we wasted, we just blew our money. The issue is that we just blew. So all these things we did with all these amendments, all these things we did with all the time we wasted, we could have used that money and just probably anoint any person and say, go and be the president. We don't need to go through electoral process. If we cannot enhance the process, if you cannot enhance the recruitment process, where our choices will be reflected in a transparent manner, then we don't need all the election anymore. We don't need INEC. What we can do is that every 4 years, we just can say, Mr. Bani is a very handsome man, maybe he should be our president. Everyone say, hey, and that money we would have used for that organizing election. We use it to do our roads, give water, constant light in Nigeria. Do you know how much these guys have blown since 1999 to date in terms of election expenses?
I agree with you.
Are you following me?
I
so we don't need to waste all that money. That is he's telling me that we waste all, and then at the end, technicality come. You now tell me that even the Electoral Act of 2007 is what we have gone to. We know all the amendments that have taken place since 1999 to date. And then all that amendment was geared towards a process of ensuring more of less interference of human factor in our electoral process. Because the more human beings are involved, the more we begin to suffer these manipulations and malfeasance in our electoral process. We are trying to digitize our process that will make it easier to even read the result, easier to collate, easier to announce, and then we waste all that time and money. And at the end, you are telling me, it's manual. So everyone has been deceived. In fact, we should get angry. Nigeria should get angry that if there was any such thing, we have been deceived, we have been duped with all our money resources going down the drain. Let's not waste time going to conduct any election. Let's just anoint every 4 years and know whether God will just make one of those that will be anointed to really take us where. Because me, I'm interested in leadership. No. See what I'm saying in leadership. I'm interested in somebody that will occupy Aso Rock. And make sure that every Nigerian eat 3 square meal a day. Make sure that every Nigerian have constant light. Make sure that if I want to go to Abuja now, I will just drive, enter my motor and say I'm going to Abuja. The road is as good as I just came back from South Africa. If you drive from Pretoria to Cape Town, from Cape Town to Johannesburg, come and see road. Come and see road that people carry money do. Our own, no evidence today that you have a standard road. I can't now say I'm going to East. I just enter my motor and begin to enjoy those bushes, on the road and all that. I say with a good road. No, there's no good road network. And after how many years we have wasted billions and trillions, from oil money, we cannot boast of any single good road. So I don't mind who is there, whether Bola Tinubu is there or whether it is Atiku. What I just need is good governance, and let it be good governance that came as a result of choice of recruitment that is taken by the people. The people say, look, it's Mr. A we want, and we have chosen him, and it's done in such a transparent manner. But not this issue that we are getting it wrong at every time. We cannot be able to decipher who rules us in such a manner that the majority say this is the person that rules us. So for whatever has happened, my own anger is that we have been duped, from all this, all the money we have spent, all the joy that was expressed with the Electoral Act, the court is now saying we have gone back to manual. And nobody is seeing the danger in that. Nobody is even, because of our interest, nobody is seeing the danger. And let me tell you, I don't care who is there. I'm not even arguing this particular thing on issue of any party affiliation or any ethnicity. No. They knew my role, in bringing Buhari to this. When Buhari came 2000, I felt Jonathan is from South. I didn't care well whether it's Jonathan, but I felt that Jonathan was not doing well, that this man is coming to do. But when I also found out that Buhari was not a competent, I started raising the alarm. People were abusing me. At the end, they all agreed that Buhari was the worst, because Buhari has left power now. But when he was there, they were praising him. Now we have come in. I'm saying also the process that produce any person. I'm always a supporter. They know my role in APC. They know my role. But let's do it in such a manner that the country is more important than individuals. Let's get it right. Because maybe Bola Tinubu there, I think whoever is there, let us produce leaders that the majority can say this is our leader, and in such a transparent manner that our children can say, oh, you guys are trying, you are making some level of progress. I tell you, most of these young ones are not really happy with what is going on in the country, especially with the electoral system. They're losing faith. They're losing hope.
I agree. So
and that is not too good. That's not too good.
Let's quickly talk about. You said you've talked about the things you don't like. Could you, in a minute, tell us some of the things you are quite pleased with that the court put out last week?
There was one the court said, look, if you are going to reply. If you are going to reply to a statement, to the respondent's reply. If you are going to respond to it, before you can respond, you can't raise any new issue. That you try as much as possible to put every of your things in your statement, in your petition, so that when the respondent replies, you don't raise new issues, because he has no right of reply anymore, because you'll be denying fair hearing if you now go and put new issues in your own there. So that accords with legal principle that everyone must be given a fair hearing. So if you want to really put out an issue in your petition, make sure that you know the issue that is actually taking you to court, and then raise all those grounds under which you are petitioning to the court, and make sure that you put all the facts. Aver all the facts, so that you don't come to now aver the facts when the respondent has replied you. You now come and put it in, because that's like you are taking him by surprise. You are changing the goal, because he can't respond to that new facts you are now averring. So in your response to the respondents, you don't put on new facts. You only probably respond to any new fact he has raised in his response. You can only respond to new fact he has raised, but not you, who is the petitioner now, raising that accords with the law. But again, where I also disagree a bit, and also I think the Supreme Court will lay to raise, is this issue of 25% because the construction that was used was, and you must have 25% in 24 state and federal. My brothers are saying, oh no, there is no special status that Abuja does not have. Are you saying that the people in Abuja have special? Why do we have to even say to third in 24 state? Those people in 24 state, did they have 2/8? So it's a constitutional provision, because Abuja is actually the special, the federal capital, and then it is made up of all the Nigerians are there. That's where the president himself also presides. National Assembly makes law for Abuja. Abuja is not an ordinary place.
What if the Supreme Court goes along with the appeal court?
No. I don't have any problem with that. Let that pronouncement be made. No problem. No problem. If they say, oh, Abuja does not enjoy that literary interpretation should not be applied, but now I have to. Fine, no problem. That's the Supreme Court. But I know in my dissent that one day we will revisit that issue. So no problem. So, but everyone is entitled to his opinion. Are you following me, sis?
Yeah.
You can look at the issue, and you have. That's why we have, in any case, in any court, we have two lawyers, one for the plaintiff, one for the respondent. Everyone canvasses it based upon his understanding of the law and logic. And by the time now the umpire looks at your evidence, and your evidence is more, if it is in civil, if he weighs more, he rules on balance and probability. He rules in your favor. If it's criminal, you have to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. Then he rules in your favor. So I think that the Supreme Court will take a look again. If they agree with the Court of Appeal, fine. We are here.
Okay, Dr. Bani,
it's our country, and we love the way we love the way we roll.
We don't have so much time, sadly. I've got about 2 minutes left on the show.
No problem.
I just have one question. Oh my goodness, the question has gone off my head now for a second. But I wanted to talk about the issue of the witnesses.
Yes.
The judge said, "Oh, this witness is not good enough because he has issues." But that also, when they also looked at the cases, that the petitioners did not even bring any witness that was under the polling units to explain whatever. I have read a number of you guys.
I don't know what they mean by they didn't bring. Most of the witness statements were struck. I remember. up to 10. I think they had 13.
Yeah, 13. 10 were struck out.
And so
that's for the Labour Party.
If 10 statements were struck out, are you sure it may not have included what I said they didn't bring any persons? Because the case now was now decided based on maybe upon 3 witnesses, 3 witness statements. So they can't look at those other ones that were struck out.
Because they were not filed within the 21 days.
No, yes, now, because they are subpoena, most of them were subpoena witness. So he's not telling you that those people cannot be reckoned with in delivering the judgment. So if you don't now take reckon with those 10 out of 13, and you now rely only on 3, it will not be wrong for you to come to conclusion that there is no evidence because it's only 3 witness statements you are relying upon. So you don't take into cognizance those other 10 that have been struck out. So if they now say there was no witness brought and all that, so does it include the 13 or does it include only 3 that is left? So this is the thing. This is the thing that we don't need to, break our head and all that. Those who are saying they're going on appeal, they must have their reason, they must have their grounds and all that. So we will all await. But let me say this before I go, sir.
Quickly.
The most important thing.
He's a sir, actually.
Okay, my lovely sister. Oh, he's a sir.
Yes, Dr. Ubani is a sir.
Chineke, you are the one that is confusing people because yesterday somebody was saying that this person in Niger Info. Anytime he calls in, the people call her man, because he's a man. So you are the person, So the point is, we want a country that is working out. That should be the mind. Whether it is Bola Tinubu that is there and all that, we pray that Bola Tinubu should be able to give us good governance, change our narrative economically, politically, and make us to really smile as a nation. Okay. Nigerians our boys are running away because of bad leadership. But the moment he gets it right, everyone will be smart. I don't care who occupies that sorrow. The most important thing is giving us good governance, and I pray that he succeed. That's my prayer.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Dr. Monday Ubani, former vice president of the NBA, on the Newsroom. Thank you very much. As I wrap up the show, I got a message about the Blue Rail line. No, I didn't say that the line starts from mile 2 to Okokomaiko. I know it ends from Marina to Okokomaiko. I know it ends at mile 2 for now, but the plan actually is to have that line run all the way to Okokomaiko. That's actually what I said at the start of the show. Guys, that's about it. I'll see you guys next week, Monday, hopefully, on another edition of the Newsroom. Thanks to my producer, Emmanuel Onwoka, for a good job. Take care, people. Courtside comes after this timeout.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
Come make I ask you something. Shey you want ogbonge education for your pikin, the type wey go make dem sabi book wella. No wahala yourself. Na Lagos State Public Primary School you need. Na for there correct transformation dey happen. And na Eko
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens.